Fire. All those in favor? Thank you. Paul, can we do something with the mics? We're good? How's that? Is he here back there? Everybody's good now? Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have general inquiries. Just before we call for the first person to come up, understanding that we have a full room and there will be lots of questions probably. I want to reiterate a couple things. One, that I will hold everyone accountable in regards to decorum, council included, that this is the council chambers. Please respect each other, and we'll move forward from there. The process is we have approximately 10 minutes for public inquiries. There are no statements to be made, preambles to be made. Inquiries are questions to be asked. The question is asked to the chair. If I can respond to the question, I will. If I can't, our opportunity is to respond in writing at the next general council meeting. So with that in mind, I would open up the floor to general inquiries. I would ask that if you have an inquiry, please come forward, state your name, and ask your question. The floor is open. Any questions? Please come forward. State your name and ask your question.
Rita Worstrow, 46-year resident of Thompson. Approximately a month ago, I asked the question about the resolution that was passed to change the name of the TRCC to the VRCC. And I was assured I would get an answer, but I haven't heard anything. And I was just wondering, is it possible to give me the resolution number and the date that that resolution was passed?
To Mr. Sepitelli, just to walk through the process that was that we got to the renaming of the TRCC to the VRCC. It'll provide a historical process of what we went through. There is no resolution, but Mr. Sepitelli will explain.
In-camera sessions were held with council in regards to the renaming of the TRCC to the Valley Regional Community Center, and consensus was reached by council to enter into discussions with Valley and enter into an agreement and take back to council. That process is still ongoing, and once the final agreement has been reached between Valley and the city, a resolution will be coming forth to council in a regular council meeting.
Citizens of Thompson ask that we have a public meeting on the naming of our facility that belongs to the citizens of Thompson, and I believe is still being paid for by our taxes. Can we have that process?
The regular council meetings that all the public is more than welcome to attend. As Mr. Sepitelli has stated, when the resolution comes forward, we'll make it well aware to the general public, and people can attend to asking questions in regards to that resolution and that work.
It's not something that you can bring to the people and say, have a competition, have the children in the schools involved, and have them try to name our facility, our public facility. Isn't that the right protocol to follow on a public building?
Have a naming policy and a naming process in regards to parks and buildings that we're following, and that process, as I said, is being worked on. The most recent naming public meeting or naming would have been the Leo Landers Park in the new area on Smith Crescent, but we have a policy in place in regards to naming rights, and we're following that process. Once Mr. Sepitelli has stated, once the process with the naming of the VRCC has been concluded, it'll come forth in a resolution and it will be open for debate for council, and the public will have a chance during inquiries to ask questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Please come forward, state your name. Yep. Thank you. State your name and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Leslie Tucker. In respect to Councillor Duncan Wong's misogynistic comments a couple weeks ago in respect to women and driving trucks and that thing, which would literally be a human rights complaint if applied to current city staff. What I wanted to know, is there anything that this council plans on doing to ensure that this type of behavior is eradicated from future meetings and from this council?
Thank you. The correspondence referencing that issue is later on in this meeting. Council will have an opportunity to discuss the correspondence. In regards to outside of this council, we have policies in place for a respectful workplace that we adhere to, both for employees and councillors. We have a code of conduct. We have a number of checks and balances. And so from that perspective, from the city's perspective, we're following protocols in regards to respectful workplaces and equal opportunities.
Just one more question then, sorry, from what you had said. Does this council have a code of conduct? Does this council have a respectful workplace, respectful?
Code of conduct. It's contained within our organizational bylaw.
So then if somebody steps outside the code of conduct by saying such, things like misogyny?
Any action that is deemed outside of the boundaries of council. We are governed by the Municipal Act, and council has the opportunity to censure councillors for comments or actions. And there are other actions that can be followed on a more serious matter in the sense of criminal charges or that. But there are processes in place to handle or deal with the behavior of councillors and or the mayor.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? I saw one over here. Please come forward, state your name and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Michael Trudeau. I live at 1297 Mid Road. I was wondering if I could direct my question to Councillor Wong. No. Okay. About 2 months ago, Councillor Wong had requested a maintenance schedule for a vehicle, heavy equipment from the city. Do you know if he's received that schedule yet?
I'm not sure your question. Maintenance schedule of our equipment?
There was a truck that was told it needed to be replaced, and he wanted to see the maintenance schedule to see if the repairs have been done correctly on it.
I'd have to check, but we do have our logs from the mechanical shop at Public Works, but we can certainly follow up for you for that.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Please come forward, state your name and ask your question.
My name is Kelly Good. 7 Grass River. My question here has nothing to do with Wong and what Wong said. My question for you is, why does it seem that Councillor Judy Collada seemed to be held accountable for his words and pulled from speaking of the Women of Distinctions Awards?
Okay. That is a separate matter that was discussed with Councillor Collada, and we moved forward with the actions that everyone agreed to. Thank you. Any other questions?
Will she be receiving a public apology for the lies written in this letter?
Won't comment on that.
Thank you very much, Denise.
Other questions? Other questions? Third and final? Oh, please come forward, state your name and ask your question.
Christine Auger, 32 Eider Bay. I do have a few different questions, not necessarily that are on the agenda, but I know I've been following council meetings, and I thought I would try to get some of my questions together for everybody just to talk about some of the issues. I actually thought when I seen the agenda, I thought that the business tax that you guys are trying to put through, the business tax benefit was supposed to be
Tax abatement bylaw, is that? Yes.
and there. I actually thought that one was supposed to be on the agenda for tonight based off of a previous meeting.
It was, and then there's more information to be gathered, so it's not ready for third reading yet. So when it's prepared, it'll come back for third reading.
Know when you expect to have third reading on that?
Next meeting is July, Gary, 17th. If the information is available and completed, it will be on that agenda. If not, the next meeting is in August.
Can you tell me who specifically benefits from this tax abatement?
Tax abatement, property owner, business property owners.
Asking for specific names of maybe who brought forward this idea.
I did, and the benefits are all business property owners.
Benefit directly from this?
Don't. None.
Okay. The other question I have is, why would you consider giving a tax break to businesses after raising taxes to the citizens?
This is an initiative in regards to the Thompson 2020 plan moving forward with the announcement of 2018 and subsequently the Birch Tree closure. It's a number of factors to consider growing the community, not only the businesses, but local and regional, to mitigate the impact of the Birch Tree closure and the change in operations in 2018. So it's one of many initiatives that will move forward.
I was a previous business owner, so I definitely am in favor of the business tax. I just would like to see it include more people and more businesses. I think with the with where Thompson is headed with the layoffs from Vale and Manitoba Hydro, I think there should be some sort of incentives for business to start. And I'm just wondering if you have any startup initiatives, or would you consider lowering the business tax, for instance, to help businesses get started?
The 2017 budget that's been passed and approved does include a lowering of the business tax of 0.25%. First time it's been done in many, many years. So that's one initiative that was done. Secondly, you will hear later in the presentation of Thompson 2020 a number of initiatives that will be moving forward to, again, mitigate the impact of the Valley's decisions. And so I don't want to steal the thunder from Tim and Harold and or the plans moving forward, but certainly the city is working with many partners and levels of government to mitigate the impact over the next 18 months.
A very big amount, considering that's probably about $7 for the average business owner, would you say? Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
I would like to ask that councillors really consider looking to improve the economic development within Thompson by considering a more drastic business tax reduction rather than specifically focusing on certain businesses. I think all businesses in town will be hit with this, and I'd really like to see that you support your local businesses. Now I do have some other questions. Why was the water and sewer raised twice? It's expected to be raised this year. It's also expected to be raised again next year. You've raised taxes, you've raised the water and sewer, and now you're adding a water frontage, right, for the water treatment plant, if I'm not mistaken. Does that come out in September on our tax bills?
That is part of your utility bill, and this was all discussed during the budget deliberations, supported by council, and so all of those actions are moving forward as part of the 2017 budget.
I noticed last year that you had a $2 million surplus. Can you tell me what happened to that $2 million surplus, where it was put?
Stated in the budget presentation for 2017, the surplus part of it was, the majority of it was placed in reserve for upcoming RCMP costs that we are anticipating in the next 2 to 3 years.
I noticed that you also increased the budget this year for the RCMP, so I'm wondering, you've put that money aside for RCMP, but then you also added more to it in the coming years. And are you not trying to reduce the number of RCMP officers?
It's a two-part question. The first part of the question is we do not control the cost of the RCMP. We are budgeted for 38 officers. We receive a quarterly bill based on that service provided. Secondly, given the 2018 announcement, prior to the Birch Tree announcement, within the contract that we hold with the Public Safety Canada, we have to serve 2 years' notice if we want to entertain the reduction of RCMP officers. So this council in the previous year was proactive in setting us up that if and when we need to provide or reduce the number of RCMP officers, we followed the protocols and didn't have to wait an additional 2 years. So as we go through 2017 and 18 and we realize the impacts, we have set ourselves up that if we have to reduce RCMP members, we can do so quite quickly to react to what we're being faced with.
My next question is, were you able to read the article that was posted in the Thompson Citizen back in January? I had written an article to yourself and councillors regarding money-saving tips for Thompson. Yep. And can you tell me which ones that you'll be looking at introducing? One of them's, like for instance, I had recommended an asphalt plant. I can see clearly that the roads here are very seriously deteriorating, and I'm just wondering what is being put forward in terms of an asphalt plant. I know that at one time Thompson did have an asphalt plant. I'm curious as to why we no longer have one.
So the overall letter and suggestions, amongst many suggestions that will come forward in the next year, will be considered in the 2018 budget, which will start in September, October. The discussion on the asphalt, it's cost prohibitive for us to run a asphalt plant, and there's no further discussion on that one.
Okay, my next question. Now you've had a chance to be in the mayor's position for 2.5 years now. It's a part-time position currently. Do you feel that it would be beneficial, say, for the next mayor to have it be a full-time position?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Can you explain why?
Work.
Enough work.
Hours of work a week. No.
Okay. And can you tell me who decided that Councillor Claudia should be replaced as the YWCA distinction presenter? Or
Again, matter with the board of the YWCA and the City of Thompson. We dealt with that, including Councillor Claudia. I'm not going to speak on that.
did any of the councillors vote on it, or was it strictly your decision to pull her from that?
I'm going to comment on it anymore.
And the last final thing is seeing people come up with letters and seeing them not be signed, and for instance the YWCA letter that I've seen not having a letterhead on it, and I don't believe that any of the councillors had a decision in this. I do believe that you yourself made the decision, and so my question for you is, would it not be a conflict of interest getting a letter from your daughter to remove a councillor from that particular event?
I'm going to comment on this.
Thank you.
I will remind the general public, please no outbursts. Please respect the council chambers. Any other questions? Second time? Third and final. Thank you. We'll move on to presentations and delegations. Sorry, missed you. My fault.
My name is Sylvia Green. It's more of a clarification that I'm looking for. Over the last couple of weeks, I've heard a lot of in-town talk regarding the comment that Councillor Wong made at the last meeting. I unfortunately wasn't at that meeting. I wish I was. So I went back and I saw it online, and I'm a little confused as to what the content was that started all of this.
So just to advise that there is a piece of correspondence on the agenda today speaking specifically to that, and council will have an opportunity to speak that, and I'm sure the general public would like to hear the comments. So I think you'll get clarity from that piece of correspondence.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Before I leave, I just want to thank you, Councillor Wong, for being so respectful to women. I did not see anything wrong with that comment, and I'd like to see that chivalry is not dead.
Thank you for your comments. Again, I would ask you to refrain.
I'll leave, thanks.
Thank you very much. Saves me asking. Again, with all due respect, everyone's entitled to an opinion. Everybody has their time, and I certainly want to respect that decision. But please respect this council chamber and everyone else in the room. Thank you. Okay. Presentations, delegations. Thompson 2020, I'd ask Harold and Tim to please come forward. We'll just take a couple seconds to set this up. think we're good to go. Okay.
Ready? City Council, Mayor Fensky, Gary, Capitelli, and Tammy, thank you for allowing us to come and present Thompson 2020. My name is Tim Gibson. I'm the project manager for this initiative. Thank you for having the courage to really have the vision to step up. I'm here to introduce Harold. He'll introduce himself, but I want to also thank Casper Antashevsky. He helped put a lot of this together. He's a lot of foundation on what you're going to see here shortly. Little background on myself for most councillors I've met. I've been in Thompson for almost 2 years. I have a wife and 2 kids in grade school. Spent about 15 years in northern parts of Canada, Labrador, and recently moved over from Fort McMurray. 25 years of project management experience, so pretty rich background. Let's get into the project charter. I think there's a resolution to approve it tonight, and without further ado, Harold will take over the presentation.
Thanks very much, Mayor and Council. Thanks, Tim. Gosh, it's great to have such a good crowd for tonight to present to. Really appreciate that. Tim gave a bit of a brief introduction to himself. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of history. We're just getting to know each other as partners on this important project. I'm just going to do a little bit of the background, and then Tim will talk about the meat of the work that's ahead of us. I will say that this presentation is still really a thumbnail sketch of the work that is before us. A lot of work has been done by some of the folks you'll see them listed in the project charter: City of Thompson, Valley, Province of Manitoba, Government of Canada, First North Central Development, CEDF have been involved, and other collaborators and partners. There was a consensus that we needed to have a concerted effort to try to pull some of the different projects together, and that was the genesis of Thompson 2020. So Tim and I are busy trying to pick up a bunch of those ideas and put them into action. Those ideas I'm grateful that those ideas were started already by others, because time is tight. We all know what we're facing in terms of developments that are going to come in the next couple of years. I can't seem to advance that. Can you advance that, Tammy? Sure, that'd be great. Just a little bit on history and challenges. I've got a couple of photos, and I know that everyone will be looking up at that, trying to figure out where that is. First thing I did was I looked at the river in the top, thinking that was the river, but it's not that. That's some sort of a creek. This is the very first start of Juniper neighborhood, and so the wooded area through the middle is right along Cree Road. Obviously a very early photo of Thompson. Just we wanted to put that up there to remind people, and I'm not the one who can talk about it in so much in the first person, but Thompson's been through many challenges. It's always been a community of opportunity. That's what created the community. Opportunity for jobs, education, businesses, opportunities for a place to raise a family. The reason for Thompson 2020 is to make sure that it continues to be that community of opportunity. But it's not going to happen on its own. Tammy, if you can go to the next slide. So a modern picture of Thompson shows how much it's grown, how Thompson as a community has overcome many challenges, and we've always been able to pull together. The upcoming developments with Valet, however, present probably some of the most significant economic challenges that the community has faced. And it's going to take a concerted effort to try to reduce the impact of those on our residents, on the workforce, and on the community as a whole. So I think that I won't spend much more time on the big why question. I think that we understand why we want to have an initiative such as 2020. But I'd like to talk a little bit next about how we intend to work. And Tammy, if you can go to the next slide. You're doing a great job, by the way. We really need a number of different organizations to continue to pull together. We need to collaborate on ideas. We need ideas from an engaged public, from council, from levels of government in terms of what we need in order to reduce the impacts. We need to build partnerships among different organizations, private sector, public sector, different levels of government. And at the end of the day, we're going to need to focus on the most important things that we can get done between now and 2018. Because we need to have a fast reaction. We need to be ready for those impacts, and time is tight. So we're going to need to focus on a handful of specific projects, and some of those projects are going to have enduring effects, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But that's really how we intend to work. We intend to also work in a very public way. You've got the project charter in front of you on your agenda for later on today. That's being brought to council as a first step in terms of public accountability for this effort. A number of parties to the Thompson 2020 project are public entities, and so we wanted to make sure that we came forward and had the term that we're using is sponsors of the project approve the project charter, so that we know we're getting clear direction in a public way for the work that we're going to be doing. Next up is just another slide of just the partnerships and collaboration that we see. A number of different organizations listed here. But the big line in bold at the bottom is new partnerships, and that's one of the things that we are going to require if we're going to be successful in Thompson 2020. With that, I'm going to pass the presentation back to Tim.
Okay, Tammy. To look at it at really high level, a lot of work still needs to be done, but in terms of focus and prioritization early on in this process, I had a big aha moment. There's been just a lot of work done in the past. There's a rich history of very good studies, TEDWIG, ISTTC work, cold weather testing, economic action and development plans, tourism studies, and others, just to name a few. There's just a lot of work. You have to kind of do a situational analysis and show some decent respect for what's gone on and what's in progress. So Harold and I intend to be aggressive listeners to the past, but we do need to move forward. So early on, I realized we needed a slide similar to this that just really clarified the projects in the center of the bullet is really Thompson 2020, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll talk a little bit about what those legs are at a very high level right now. Again, we're just developing on exactly what the charters for those would look like and feel like and read. And then outside of that scope would be beyond Thompson Beyond 2020. And then at the very bottom of that slide, really no idea is outright rejected, but if it's not within the scope and it's not prioritized within 2020, it could fall beyond that. So that's kind of our mantra. That's the way we want to approach an idea that's not accepted. So, Tammy? There's a bunch of ways to focus and prioritize. At some point, we're going to get a bucket list of items we need to look forward and try and plan our way through. I have an MBA and a Six Sigma background, so there's a variety of ways of doing that. I like charts, graphs, and data. It doesn't always have to be that way. This is another way of just doing it. It's a tool that you would prioritize low effort, very low inputs, and high returns. Again, it's just an example. We're using a project-based approach. We believe it's the right prudent thing to do, but also gives you a better batting average. It's not perfect. It still requires a lot of work to move things through. Certainly, we're looking at getting actions and results. This slide here is actually a planning and execution page. We're not at that level of detail yet. But basically, a project-based approach would involve a master project charter, which is what's before City Council tonight, and a communication plan. Clearly defined subcharters, that's where we are right now. So those bullets at those 4 projects, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's what we're defining as we speak. Planning and execution summaries, not there yet. Regular communication and consultation, we've set up a few things. We've got a communication plan, and we've also It got all our information web-based, so it's in a secure area, so it's easily accessible and easily shared. And again, we intend to have a very transparent process with publicly available progress reports. The areas that we're looking at are transitioning affected workforce. Harold already alluded to some of the challenges we all face, specifically with Birch Tree and valet decisions. Attraction and retention of citizens, and with a focus on retirees as well. Business redevelopment and infrastructure, and in particular all-weather roads, and with the current situation with the railroad, that's probably a wise decision to at least look at. So moving forward, a lot of work, a lot of hours. It's typically a lot more work up front to get the communication, to get the expectations, and get these projects running. But this is the path forward, defining our goals and expected outcomes, identifying the sub-projects, as I already mentioned, identifying and recruiting partners. On that slide, we had a bunch of partners. I'm sure we missed some. I apologize for that. Stakeholders and resources, defining roles and responsibilities, establishing milestones, and implementing, monitoring, and reporting actions and results. Next slide, please. This is kind of very simplistic. I don't want everybody phoning me, but certainly we've already got a parking lot on our shared drive that we're putting ideas as we leave meetings. They're coming to us very fast and furious, and some of them are very good. But for now, Harold's phone number is there. Please phone Harold and not me. And that's mine as well. Thank you.
Just to advise the general public, there's a resolution later this evening for travel for city manager and myself to travel on Thursday to a meeting with Minister Cullen that Tim and Harold will be attending as well, part of the Chamber of Commerce Manitoba Look North announcements, and then a separate meeting with Minister Cullen to move forward initiatives. So with that, I'll go to Councillor Clada.
Thank you, Your Worship. As Harold well knows, I grew up down east, and flooding was very common down there. And nearly every flood was actioned by the armed services. They were brought in, they had engineering expertise and an abundance of labor. And has there been any consideration about approaching the armed services regarding our rail? Because certainly that's crucial to economic development throughout the north, and I'm wondering if there's been any thought given to approaching the armed services to take on that project, to either identify what needs to be done or to work on it. I think it would be far less costly than trying to get money from the feds and the province to look at that. But that was a common practice on the East Coast, and I'm wondering if that could be looked at.
If I may, Councillor Clada, that's a good suggestion. I know that I'm not involved directly in the response to the challenges with the rail line, the immediate challenges, but I'm sure that different levels of government are currently looking at options for assisting or mitigating the impacts of that closure.
Mr. Byer.
Suggestion, but it builds on Councillor Clada's. A few years ago, the Canadian Armed Forces was talking about building a new training base. If we want to build our economic base, perhaps we can open up a conversation with them about having a training base here. And then they're really close to fixing the rail.
Just want to say thank you first off for your presentation. A couple of points I have is when you talk about partnerships and you're looking for new partnerships, do you have a strategy that you're reaching out, or is that part of your communication plan to get people to come to the table, or do you actually have a strategy to reach out?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for each of the 4 project areas, and I call them areas because in some of those it'll be multiple projects. Within the limits of what we can manage. We'll identify potential partners that we want to reach out to, in the sort of the project management, the document for that project. So one of them is just it's transition of the workforce, individualized approach to matching up training with people who have needs for training in order to get a better career path. And so we don't know who all the partners are going to be, but for sure we know that we're going to need to reach out to some others. A lot of that work, that's the one project that is already, I think, underway. There's some planning that we're inheriting on that. So it's a little bit, it's kind of instructive for us to know how those people came together. And so for each one, the short answer, Councillor Valentino, is yes, we plan on reaching out, but we're also open to people contacting us and saying, listen, I think I've got something to contribute to this project. With the project-based approach, what we see is a small project charter for each one of those initiatives that defines who is involved, what their role is. We need people to come to the table and take responsibility away from meetings. We need people to be contributing to that. And so there's an accountability to being involved where we'd want to have a conversation about what they can bring and what they can do in support of that project.
Yep, Deputy Mayor.
When you talk about your regular communication and consultation, you know, I think for myself, I believe that communication is key as we have a lot of, I think, fear in our community or challenges as you talk about the before and after. And in this day and age, we expect our communication to be instant. We have a whole generation growing up where everything's instant. So I would hope that you guys really take advantage of the fact that you can communicate lots and with people lots, and I think that's something we really, really need within our city for everybody is what's happening and where your projects are at, and the communication I think is vital as we go through this.
Just to add to we've been pretty active getting out in front of the Chamber of Commerce, and that exact question came up. We did a decent job, I thought, on communication plan document, but it was really what's available, not the wider vision that has been asked for in two meetings in a row. So I think we have another revisit on our communication plan to just get it better. And these documents change over time. Now, we don't want to come before council, city council, and get it changed again and again and again. That's not the goal, but they are living documents and they should change. When we get good suggestions, we should be looking at testing the document, making sure it passes the test. So we intend to make many changes on that one.
Thank you. Just before I go to Councillor Ellis, just to follow up on the communication, there will be announced, or that there will be a public meeting next Monday evening on the 26th, I believe that's the date, 26th of June at the Lechman Theatre at 7 p.m., open to the general public. The City of Thompson will host, and we will go over the highlights of the Thompson 2020 project, as well as bring people up to speed with what we know in regards to moving forward with discussions with both the federal and the provincial levels of government, discussions with Valet, and so it will be an open forum community presentation. There'll be time to ask questions or clarifications. So we want to keep everybody, we hope to have everybody leave that meeting with a lot more I know situations rather than I think. And so we look forward, and there will be public advertising moving forward of this public meeting on Monday evening, 7 o'clock at the Lechman Theatre. Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, given the short timelines in terms of Thompson 2020, we're looking probably 18 months to 2 years. You've got a lot on your plate in terms of this program. What do your timelines look like?
Well, we've got with the most recent news regarding Birch Tree, obviously, we've got a timeline that is fixed in terms of standing up some sort of a response to workforce reductions in Birch Tree. So that's why that of the group of projects, the workforce adjustment one is at the top of the list for timing. Fortunately, some work has been going on before the actual organization of Thompson 2020 to identify some of the needs, and so we'll be picking up with that and bringing along the people who are already working on those. Next one, retiree retention, training, the workforce retention, back on the workforce. The immediate response to individual needs is one component to that. Another part is we'd like to see the establishment of a stronger focus locally on training to meet the needs of others. We'd like to see it be an initiative that will endure beyond these immediate needs, that it be a strong focus for job skills training, things like that. So we don't get much of a breather after what happens in October, but it's really a sort of the start of the process in terms of really dealing with direct impacts.
So just on that, if I could add, and I want to recognize President Ellsworth, who's in the audience this evening. The behind-the-scenes work that's being done between Valet and the steelworkers is ongoing. They're working very hard for their members to mitigate the impact of the birch tree announcement. So this Thompson 2020 works outside those parameters. There is a steelworker Valet relationship that they will work with only their input, and there is an outside that circle impact, and that's where this group will look at the training aspects for those who may leave Valet or may be at the end of the day without a position. What are the training opportunities available for them to resume a different career in Thompson in the north? So I just want to recognize the hard work that's being done by President Ellsworth and his staff and Valet on their side in regards to an employer relationship. Thompson 2020 is outside of that relationship, but will work parallel with the initiatives that come out of that. Other questions? Yep, go ahead.
I don't anticipate completing all the work within the mandate of Thompson 2020. I understand there's a position, economic development officer. That person would carry on the legacy items that should be well along.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I want to thank Tim and Harold for your presentation. Look forward to the hard work that you have ahead of us, and that you have the support of council and the community as we all work through 2017, 18, 19 to get to 2020. So thanks again for your presentation. And there is a press release available now that the presentation has been made, and it'll be available at the back of the room.
Go onto the website. It's now under review by council. Okay. Thanks for.
Thank you. Next up, we have the wastewater treatment plant presentation. That'll take a couple seconds to set up as well because we have a phone in. So just be patient with us as we make the technological change.
Intercom. Please enter your conference code followed by the pound key. Thank you. After the tone, state your name, followed by the pound or hash sign.
Gary?
Thank you. You will now be placed into conference. To mute your line, press star 6. To unmute, press pound 6. Conference.
Hi, Seibel. Hi, Dave. We're just in the process of setting up, so if you can just give us a couple of minutes.
Sure, no problem.
You're good to go, Gil? Gil? Okay, so we have people on the line. I'll just ask, we're in council chambers and council has duly assembled with council, and we have members of the audience in place as well. I could just ask those on the phone to identify themselves.
So my name is Saibal Basu. I'm with Stantec Consulting. I'm the project manager for Stantec on this project. And I'm David Schluck, the general manager of the Manitoba Water Services Board.
Thank you. Welcome. I'll turn it over to Gil to run the PowerPoint.
can stop.
David Seibel, you can start the presentation.
Okay, so before we start, I just need a minute of your time. We'll do a safety minute, and I want to talk about safe lifting. Not that I'm an expert of lifting, but we generally do meetings with the safety minute. A few things to note: if you're lifting anything, give yourself a couple of minutes to plan. Make sure that the load is not too heavy for you. Generally speaking, anything over 50 pounds, or if it's an awkward size, you need somebody else to help you out. Keep a wide, stable base for support. Keep the load close to your body. Maintain a curve in your lower back, which is called the lumbar curve. Bend your knees, that's very important, and flex the hip, and avoid twisting. And you can use your feet to reposition your body. Don't twist at the waist or shoulders. So that's your safety minute if you have plans, the big plans in the summer to do some moving or some other stuff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So Gil, if you could go to the outline, please. So thank you, Mayor and Council. We are going to give you a brief background information on this project, talk about the project rationale, the approach we took, the design development, the tendering process, and then Dave will quickly touch upon the project funding, and then I will finish off by providing you a quick update on the construction end of things, and last but not the least, if you have questions, we can go through that. So go to slide 3, please, Bill. This slide kind of gives you an overview of your current wastewater system. You may have seen this. I was there in 2015 to give you a presentation. Basically, so far as the wastewater infrastructure is concerned, you have 8 lift stations, and there is one primary wastewater treatment plant located off Nelson Road, at the end of Nelson Road, and an aerated lagoon off Seal Road. So that's what this thing shows. Keep this in mind because we're going to show you what the proposed upgrade is. So next slide, please. This gives you a kind of an overview of the existing infrastructure. Again, this is a slide that I kind of showed you last time. It gives you some background of the existing wastewater plant. It was built late 50s, 1958. The existing plant at the Nelson Road handles approximately 2/3, roughly 70% of the flow, wastewater flow. It is only a primary treatment. What it means is just provides partial treatment, not the full treatment that is typically required. There is no disinfection, there's no chlorine or UV or anything like that. The final effluent is discharged to the Burnwood River through an existing outfall. However, the outfall pipe has broken off quite some time back, and it's essentially releasing the effluent through a manhole right at the edge of the water. There are major rehabilitation required if you were to use this plant, as it currently doesn't meet any of the current standards or codes, and obviously it presents a huge risk. The other lagoon, the other facility is the aerated lagoon, which again approximately 1/3, the remaining 1/3 of the flows. It does provide secondary treatment. The chlorine disinfection is not very effective. The polyform levels are very high. It discharges into a marsh area. The route is not very well defined. There's a lot of sludge that has accumulated. It has, to our best of our knowledge, it has never been desludged. A lot of the aeration equipment is not working, at least 1/3 of it. This technology is not really up to the mark in terms of meeting what the government requires us to do. So these are some of the background information. So next slide, please. So why is the project upgrade required? Obviously, you have to upgrade the primary wastewater plant to a secondary system. This is required as a part of the Manitoba Sustainable Development, which used to be the Department of Manitoba Conservation and Stewardship. The upgrade is also required to meet future population growth. Both wastewater plant and lagoon do not meet current guidelines, and it has to meet the Manitoba water quality standards. The Tier 1 standards that is required also includes nutrient removal, which means nitrogen and phosphorus that the current system do not provide. and obviously the heating infrastructure, which is a big challenge. So next slide, please. So how we did it? We first looked at a preliminary design. It's the high level where we looked at various options, and we basically narrowed it to two options. One option was to do a centralized wastewater treatment plant at the Nelson Road site, and the other option was to basically upgrade the two plants at its existing site. And based on our technical and financial analysis, it was recommended that a centralized wastewater plant based on a sequencing batch reactor or SBR technology be adopted. Based on that, we then moved to a functional design, which is more of an advancement of the concepts that was proposed from the preliminary design. Based on the functional design, we presented those concepts at a public open house. It was, I believe, December of 2014. And based on the feedback we got, we compiled everything and submitted that to, at that time, Manitoba Conservation and Water Stewardship, an Environmental Act license, because without the license, we cannot build a facility. The license was issued, and then we were on hold because of the, well, actually, we were on hold till the Environmental Act license was issued. We finally got the go-ahead, and we started designing the facility in 2015. We started selecting a lot of the suppliers of the equipment, and we also decided, with consultation from Water Services Board, to pre-qualify the general contractors. And I'm talking 2015. Now, as you realize that following around March of 2015, we were told that the city has to go through a borrowing bylaw review, the hearings and stuff like that. So that required that project to be on hold. Following approval, we then restarted the project again in 2017, and I'll go through some of the details about the tender and construction in my forthcoming slide. So maybe next slide, please. This shows you the result of the financial analysis between the two options. If you recall, I mentioned that there was two options. One was option one, that was to upgrade the lagoon and the wastewater plant individually, and option two was a central plant, and the centralized single facility was a lot more economic. So, next slide, please. So when the central plant was decided, obviously with the lagoon being offline or to be offline, you have to divert the wastewater that is from the south side of the community, and this shows a new force main and diversion of flow from the Severn lift station using the existing force main will be diverted to the Cree Road lift station. Now this will be a brand new Cree Road lift station. What it means is that you can continue to operate the lagoon while we construct a brand new Cree Road lift station, and dedicated force main, which is all new, that would direct the sewage from the south part of the city that currently goes to the lagoon all the way to the new wastewater treatment plant to be constructed adjacent to the existing. So the 8 lift station will continue to operate, but it is the brand new Cree Road lift station that would divert wastewater to the new treatment plant. Next slide, please. So what you're looking at is a bit of a preliminary concept that was developed during our functional design that kind of shows the first view of where the new plant would be located. As you can see, there is ample space in the existing site, and you can see just at the bottom left side the existing plant, and it also shows some of the lines that are coming into the plant and the new line from the Cree Road lift station all being diverted to the new treatment plant. Okay, so next slide, please. This slide summarizes the design concept. So the new plant is designed for about 15,000 people, and I believe your 2016 population is reported on Statistics Canada is about 8, but this is the design population that all parties agreed upon, and this gives you kind of the range of flows. Very, very stringent water quality to be maintained from this plant. If you see this table on the right-hand side, we have to meet those BOD, which is the biochemical oxygen demand. It's the reflection of the organic nature of the final effluent. It's low. This is the standard that's there in Manitoba. Has to be less than 25. The amount of solids, of total suspended solids, TSS is the acronym, has to be less than 25. And then TN stands for total nitrogen. It is the control of the nitrogen going into Burntwood River is less than 15. Total phosphorus is less than 1. And E. coli is the bacteriological, so this is all the fecal coliforms and stuff like that, has to be less than 200. Essentially, what you're seeing as an effluent quality is similar to what the city of Winnipeg is designing their plants to, because this is the current standards for Manitoba for a plant of this size. Anything for people, population greater than 10,000 people. Next slide, please. This shows the process flow diagram. I don't want to don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details of it, but sewage comes by gravity into the lift station. It is pumped by force main. It is going to pass through a fine screen, so it takes out all the large particles, and then it goes through a grid system. It takes out sand and other inert materials that can interfere with the pumping. And finally, it goes into the 2 parallel SBR tanks. This is the main biological process that purifies the waste, and it then goes to ultraviolet disinfection system. This is where the bacteriological quality, all the E. coli and coliforms are reduced so that it can be released into the Burntwood River. And the waste product from this biological process, which is sludge, is thickened. It is dewatered by a centrifuge. It's the high-speed machine, and then it is sent to the landfill. But it would be a dry product, so basically the quantity of water will be limited in the landfill. Next slide, please. So this kind of shows you the plan of the different tanks. So there are SBR1 and SBR2 is the main biological process tanks, and then the EQ stands for equalization. This is a batch process, so it discharges at intermittent time, and so we are using this tank noted as EQ to balance the pumping into the UV. The byproduct of wastewater treatment, as I mentioned, the sludge is then digested. It is stabilized in digesters, dewatered, and then sent out. The portion highlighted in yellow is the area of the plant that is at grade, whereas this portion of the plant is either in the basement or elevated. Next one, please. So this kind of shows the top of the tanks. So we are using a unique design approach. The foundation is the tank, and then we are putting the building right on top. Everything is covered. What you see as highlighted in blue is the building portion, which is inside a building on top of the tank, and the yellow portion is the building portion at grade. The reason it's at grade is these are the facilities that require direct access of grade, whereas the blue portion is elevated. You need to, when I show you the plant concept 3D, you should be able to see what it is. So this is the building portion. Next slide, please. By the way, the total building coverage is about 16,000 square feet, just to let you know. And it has facilities such as separate meeting, lunch rooms, separate men's and home office control room, electrical room, a laboratory, those kind of good stuff. This slide, which is I believe slide 13, gives you the bubblers at the bottom of the tank. Again, it's kind of a technical detail. If you go to the next one, this shows the kind of the main floor. One thing I want you to see, and I know historically I understand there has been complaints about odor, so you'll notice that I have highlighted what we have as a biotrickling filter. All the odorous air from various processes are going to be collected, and it will be sent through this biotrickling filter. Basically, we grow shouldn't be any odor complaints at all once the plant is up and running. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, and this kind of gives you a 3D perspective of the plant. As you can see, there are portions of the tank which is exposed on the left, just on the left-hand side of the guy standing there to give you. And this is a barrier-free design, so this has wheelchair access. And as I mentioned, if you see where the sign says City of Thompson, and on the other side it says wastewater treatment plant, and the garage doors are there. These are larger garage doors, not like our homes, but that's the access that we need at grade, whereas for the other part, it cannot be elevated on top of the tank. Okay, if we go to the next slide, Gil, wanted to highlight a couple of sustainable features that is there in this plant. We're using high efficiency motors so that you can get some rebates from Manitoba Hydro. The ventilation system has heat recovery, so most people in their houses these days recapture some of the heat to heat the new cold air coming in. So those same things are there, and given that the large footprint, obviously that economizes on your operating cost. We are using variable frequency drives on our motors so that we can turn it down and not run it at full speed, again an energy conservation measure. The largest energy driver of the sewage plant is the erection. When we bubble air to sustain the bugs that does all the treatment, that's 30% of the plant energy, 30 to 40%. So we have gone with an independent mixing and aeration to reduce the need. When we don't have to aerate, we will just switch off the blowers and then not aerate. Control the amount of air using a DO control. We are using part of the final effluent for washdown for the use of the plant. Non-potable use, obviously. There is potable water for other purposes. We are using water efficient fixtures throughout the plant. We are using maximizing natural lighting so that and there is proximity lighting. So when people walk out of their rooms and if there is nobody there, the lights will switch off and then switch on when somebody walks in. So those kind of stuff are there. We have optimized the building design using energy modeling. This is now required through Manitoba Code of Energy. So those are some of the things that have been incorporated. So following in 2015, I guess, we went ahead and did some pre-qualification, but given the delay for a year, Manitoba Water Services Board went ahead and re-advertised the project to pre-qualify the general contractors. The whole idea was that we wanted to make sure we get the top guys bidding the job at the GC. So we got 9 submissions, as you can see there. The ones highlighted in green are the ones that were shortlisted based on their experience. So in no particular order, Penco, Bird, PCL, MD Steel, MAC is North American Construction. They are an Ontario-based company, and Grand Construction. So these guys were shortlisted in February 2017 and were the only 6 contractors or general contractors that was allowed to bid the job. The subcontractors are wide open, so anybody could bid the job through this GC. So there was no restraint on who could bid the job as a subcontractor. Next slide, please. That's slide 19. So in 2017, a request came from the city to upgrade all the lift stations to the control system. The control system that you have is kind of old, so there is a new system that is currently out in the market. So we designed that system and included that in the scope of work. It's called the multi-smart panel. So from the treatment plant, the guys are able to see and monitor what's going on in all the lift stations without having to drive out there, and they'll be able to see if there are problems immediately because it will flag all the problems in their computer. So the project was tendered in March 2017, and our pre-tender estimate that we prepared was $34.3 million, which includes GST. So we got the 6 bids, obviously, because they were all shortlisted. Bird Construction was the lowest bidder. The bids, excluding one bidder, all ranged very closely. They were all around 34 to $37 million, so they were very, very closely bid. And in May 2017, Water Services Board awarded the contract to And I will now turn over to Dave to talk about the capital funding for this project. Okay, thanks, Saibal. Gil, the next slide on project capital funding. This project here is being funded by Build Canada. It came from a provincial territorial component within the Build Canada program, and there was $36.5 million approved to construct this new wastewater treatment plant, and the cost-sharing model is a third per partner. So it's a third for the city, a third for the province, and a third from the federal government. Now, underneath this Build Canada program, there's some ineligible costs that we have to be aware of. Is that one of them is financing. Okay, they pay no financing costs. Land purchase. The city owns the land where the sewage treatment plant is, so there shouldn't be any land purchase. Any legal services for agreements and also legal land surveying. Those are ineligible costs. So the city has requested the Water Services Board to provide project management services, and we executed an agreement for $36 million. I made an error on that. I thought that the project was 36, but it's 36.5. So we could amend the agreement to reflect that $36.5 million cost. And as Saibal has mentioned, is that we have tendered out the wastewater treatment plant. And next slide, Gil, the project capital funding. And the price is about $32,579,000, and it includes about $1.5 million or $1.2 million of extra work. Now this extra work is for things that were unforeseen during the design, but we'll have to ensure that we're prudent with that $1.2 million during the construction of the sewage treatment plant. We also had to take out extra insurance for $126,000. It was a requirement through the Build Canada. So, and then the forcing and the lift station were tendered together with the wastewater treatment plant, so that's included. There's also a line item called decommissioning existing facilities, and we're estimating about $350,000 to decommission that, which I think is quite high. What would be involved is that there has to be a sludge survey taken on the wastewater lagoon, and then there's a decommissioning plan that is filed with the Sustainable Development Approvals Branch for a license to decommission the facilities. And then the old existing sewage treatment plant will discuss on what needs to be demolished or whatever. And then the engineering portion and the contingency portion, we're roughly around that $36.4 million. So we're within the project budget. And like I said, that our things that we can control here are the extra work, and I feel that the estimated budget for the decommissioning is quite generous and high. So we are within the budget that was allocated. Next slide. From the Water Services Board, from our project management services that we provide to the city, is that we've already designed and tendered. We did all the reviews along with Stantec. The RFP for all the equipment was done. We've tendered it. We've awarded. We're moving into the construction phase now. The contractor's on site. Construction has started, so there'll be construction meetings. Build Canada requires quarterly cash flow reports, so we will file those from our office and send them to you, Gary, so that you can send it off to Build Canada. They'll require your signature and all the monthly progresses. One of the things to remember, in order to make a claim from Build Canada, the city will have to pay water. We will bill you for 100% of the cost incurred to a certain point in time. Now, we can have further discussions, Gary, at what type of dollar value that you want to move forward with. Let's say it happens to be $3 million. We've progressed the $3 million. We would bill the city for $3 million. You would pay us the $3 million, and then you would forward that $3 million invoice showing Build Canada that you've already paid that, and you would claim your 2/3. So you'd get $1 million from the province and $1 million from the feds, but there would still be that $1 million outstanding, which the city will have to carry forward throughout the whole project, as financing costs are not eligible. Timely payment and moving of this money whatever method you decide. And that's, you know, that's a big part of that. And we'll provide all the necessary documentation that you need throughout the project. Okay, next slide. And like I mentioned, you know, factors that could affect construction costs. There's some unknowns, whether it's extra rock excavation or subgrade conditions, major change orders, but we've got to try and minimize what we take out of the 1.2 million.
Hey, Dave, just to let you know that obviously we've lost the presentation on our screen, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just about finished off here, but anyways, so we'll be, you know, attending and participating in all the construction meetings and throughout the whole project, and also during the warranty period. Okay, so project update. I don't know if you want to deal with this, Simon, or you want me to deal with it? Or?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, you can do that.
I just wanted to point out that when Dave mentioned about the decommissioning of the existing facilities is currently not part of the construction contract for Bird, just so that Mayor and Council knows and the audience there. Last slide, thank you for your patience. The last slide I have, and I know you probably, this is just a project update. Wanted to mention that we had our pre-construction meeting with the contractor here in Winnipeg on May 18th, and I know they have a construction meeting tomorrow too. But Bird Construction is mobilizing still, but they have started the excavation. The work was going on a little slowly at first, but I'm told it has picked up. Smoke is heavily involved with the excavation works, and they have like 5 trucks running, so that's good. We were originally thinking that by the time they pour the mud slab, which is the big mud slab at the base of the foundation, before they can put the rebars and start the foundation work, could be end of July, but I'm told that that would be fast-tracked, could be early July too. So we are also looking at rebar shop drawings and other foundation design and concrete mix, etc. So things are going on okay. We should be able to pick up the pace a little bit more once we get going. The completion date as of now is March 2019. So that's basically what I had, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer it between me and Dave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll go to council for any questions. Deputy Mayor Valentino.
I just have one question. You talked about the wheelchair accessibility getting into the building. This council in January of 2017, we have our accessibility plan that we adopted that we had to do with the province. I'm wondering, as a new build, as our first new kind of City of Thompson building, would anything in our accessibility plan, would anything be identified to have to be a part of it, or would you be aware of the fact that we did have our accessibility plan and that it was looked at?
You know, the reason we have this facility there, Councillor, is that we don't know who's going to visit this, because there's a training room. It's a nice facility. We have like an overhead projector and all that kind of stuff. And if there is a disabled person, that allows him or her to come to this training facility. That person will not be going into any of the other areas, but the way the facility is designed, there is that ramp. I don't know if you still have the presentation up or not, but if you go back to that building renderation, there is a parking lot and there is a ramp that allows a wheelchair to go up and enter into this facility without any barrier. I mentioned the word barrier-free. This is kind of an architect's lingo, barrier-free design, so the wheelchair access is there to go directly. The washrooms have oversized, like, you know, wheelchair access washroom, men and women, so both gender washrooms, so that's the requirement of facilities like that. So, but I don't know why, like what legislation, I think that's what the question was, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Other questions from council? Councilor Malichuk.
I'm just wondering where the design population of 15,000 number comes from, because pre-utility and post-utility here in Thompson, we are now using a lot less than we once did, so I wonder if any consideration was taken there, or is it a general number throughout the country?
Can you guys speak to the fluctuation in the size of the plant, the number being quoted for population, and the ability to ramp down or ramp up with changes in population?
Okay, so in terms of that 15,000 number, like if you recall, we did a preliminary design. The preliminary design at that time, initially we started with a much larger number, and then it's all based on projections, right? So finally that was the number that was agreed on by everybody from the city and Water Services Board as a number to move forward into the functional design. The larger the design, the cost is also quite greater. And but having said that, if you do not reach the 15,000 target, well, it gives you, like, this is a 20-year design. So if you don't reach the 15,000 in 20 years, well, that's excess capacity, which is not a bad thing. But if you do have a boom, and all of a sudden, instead of 20 years, you're there in 10 years, this plant is designed for expansion. So you can expand and add a third tank or a third SBR so that you can accommodate additional population.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, I would like to thank you for the presentation. For your time, it's very informative, and we look forward to the next update as we move through with construction. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now moving into the adoption of minutes. We have a resolution number 2017-149, moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Smook. Be resolved, the minutes of the regular meeting of council held in council chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Monday, June 5th, 2017, be adopted as circulated. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We're now going into committee reports. We have the quarterly financials. And we have the quarterly financial report attached to our agenda. I'm going to go to our CFO, Jenny Krentz, to comment on that.
So this is the first quarter financial, so it's the first 3 months of the year. As such, we'd expect about 25% of the cost to be incurred and the revenues to be received. Tax bills have not been issued for the year yet, therefore they're not showing up at this point. All other revenues right now are currently consistent with the budget. The expenses are also consistent with the budget, with the exception of 2 areas. The first area being the snow clearing cost due to the major snow event that we had in March. Services from others for that event is approximately $120,000 over budget. Overtime costs related to the snow clearing is about $23,000 over budget for the year. And the other one that's a little bit over budget is the regional planning and development costs, which are over budget by $4,000, and that's just due to the renewal of the AutoCAD subscription on an annual basis that was done in the first quarter. The utility revenues and expenses are currently on budget. There's no utility capital spent in Q1 as the utility capital work has begun in Q2.
Questions or comments from council? So basically, at the highest level, we're through the second quarter, and we should be around the 50% mark in expenses and revenues. Obviously, the tax revenue is way below because we don't get taxes in until September 30th. But other than that, there are no major flags other than the ones that Jenny has spoken to. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, we'll go to the FCM annual conference. Okay, so this is the conference where there's a quick slideshow, and the conference was attended by myself, Councillor Beyer, and Councillor Matichuk, and City Manager Garen Sepatelli. It was the first week of June, located in Ottawa, attended by over 2,000 delegates from across Canada. Delegates include mayors, councillors, and CAOs from various municipalities from every province and territory. And so it started with the on June 1st with the study tours. If you go to the next slide, the study tours included the BIA business partnerships, bus rapid transit, managing transportation in the National's capital, blanket exercise, combined sewage storage tunnel, the city sportif de Gatineau, trail waste facility, Massa Canada 150, Gatineau 217, and Good Food in Schools, a role of municipalities. These were tours that members could take throughout the day. Was followed at the same time with the trade show opening. A lot of suppliers to municipalities have their products on display. It was followed on June 2nd on Friday with the Honorable Prime Minister Justin Trudeau bringing greetings and having his presentation, followed by the opening ceremonies of the week. The keynote speaker, as I mentioned, was the Honorable Justin Trudeau. That was followed by the President's Forum, The Future is Now for Municipal Leadership, and followed by a number of workshops. The workshops included Policy Powerhouse, Saving Money, Rural and Remote Broadband Opportunities, Overcoming Barriers, Innovative Solutions in Municipal Economic Challenges. Again, the study tours were repeated with some new ones added. Again, the Centre Sportif de Gatineau, supporting food and farm businesses, Ottawa Food Hub and Savor Ottawa, Good Food in Schools, a role for municipalities, Mayor's Rural Expo and Food Aid Day, wastewater treatment plant, managing transportation in the nation's capital, bus rapid transit, the Moore Farmer Estate, ecology and the Urban Agricultural Center, trail waste facility, Main Street renewal project. There was also a rendezvous theater during the trade show that had 4 presentations: Building an Accessible Canada, Generating More Revenue for Your Municipality, Vision Zero and Traffic Safety in Canada, Smart Communities. The second political keynote was Gerard Detel, the official opposition finance critic, again followed by a number of workshops, Budget 2017 and the 10 years of infrastructure spending, FCM innovation, making choices that matter to citizens, municipal asset management, why and how to make it a priority, reconciliation through economic development, service agreements and relationship building, the role of local government of international development. Again, more study tours. Saturday, June 3rd, was the resolutions plenary. The FCM, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, is the governing body for all of the municipalities, so there is a business side of that that includes resolutions and elections. The President's Rural Plenary, Shaping Rural Canada for the Next 150 Years. The third keynote speaker was the Honorable Tom Mulcair, leader of the New Democratic Party, followed by workshops, Community Safety Broadband, Canada's Urban Forest, Northern and Remote Forum, Endless Construction, an elected official, what is my role in stakeholder engagement, again followed by study tours. The rendezvous presentations were completed as well. Then the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between FCM and the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy. Sunday was June 4th. That was the closing. We had the breakfast fundraiser for FCM Women in Municipal Government Scholarships. The AGM was held with elections. The political keynote speaker, the last one, was the leader of the Green Party, Elizabeth May, followed by study tours. The legacy project is that each time that the host community, there's a tree planting program with FCM and Tree Canada Legacy Project, where a tree planted in the host community. The closing keynote was Olympic champion John Montgomery, the skeleton gold medal winner in the Vancouver Olympics. Then awards of excellence were awarded. The FCM Roll of Honor, the Anne McLean Award, Mike Badham Award, and the 2017 Institutional Awards. And the trade show ended on the Sunday afternoon. With that, I will go to the councillors that were attended, that if they had anything to add from their perspective in regards to the FCM conference. Councillor Matichuk.
I attended 2 of the study tours. The first one was on rapid transit, where they're actually putting in a subway system, I guess it is. But I quickly realized, looking at the transit system in Ottawa, they probably never had a 2-bus system, which we have. They have 970 buses. It's huge. And the second study tour I took the following day. I was signed up for the same time for both tours, but I waited in line and they did have space for me on the second day. And it was the managing the transportation system. And it was quite informative. They gave us a tour of what they are now opening, which is a managing office where they have literally monitors everywhere. Every desk has monitors, the walls are full of monitors, and they can actually control the traffic lights. They can watch these monitors. They have 20 people, say, in this room at this point because it's not finished. And they will watch traffic lights. And if it's backing up, they can change the speed of the green lights or the change of the red lights and so on. And it was quite interesting.
Thank you. Councilor Ware.
Yes, I wrote down a couple of things here that I thought were interesting. One is the Federal Minister of Canadian Heritage made mention that through the Canada 150 grant, that there was money for signage that we could use in all 3 languages in our region if we wanted. It's something to check up on. And also Minister Amarjeet Soti, Infrastructure and Communities, said that there is money special for rail and rural and northern infrastructure, and that might be something that we would like to pass on. I went to the Innovative Solutions to Municipal Economic Challenges workshop. Brockville, Ontario had an interest. Now, we don't have the old infrastructure and the old buildings that a place like Brockville does, but I'm sure we have the creativity. They took, built an aquatarium, they called it, and it's a history of the St. Lawrence and waterways, and it's become a multi-use facility both for residents and for tourism. Prince George, BC, who's in the middle of the forest like we are, is building a biofuel industry, and they are currently heating all of their municipal buildings with biofuel. And in Fredericton, they've really focused on public and private partnerships. They've done things like launching free municipal Wi-Fi. They're turning themselves into a beta testing center for Rogers in particular. They've done some other things to encourage public participation. They've developed a wood panel industry, but what they do is they have a mindset of pilot projects. So similar to some of the things they said about Thompson 2020, they've got a long list and they're willing to put it all through a pilot project so that they can judge how it would work. Another workshop was the Northern and Remote Forum. There was one, we discussed energy, climate change, and asset management. The one that I found particularly interesting, I felt really almost out of place because I was living too far south. The people who were there were from Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Yukon Territories, and then Thompson. But we didn't have all that, there weren't that many differences in the housing needs. We all have a lack of transitional housing. One of the things that they emphasize is they really have a lack of housing for their climate, and I've heard the same thing said not within our boundaries but in neighboring communities. And they also, like we do, have a need for safe homes for youth and safe homes for women and children. And the one, I went to a couple of study tours, but the one that I thought had more application to us was the community gardens. They have a community harvest and market gardens. I know we've had some attempts at doing that in Thompson, but they have in Ottawa, they've really developed it quite far, and I've got quite a few notes that maybe if we can pursue that, we can make use of those notes.
Mr. Septelli, anything to add from your perspective?
See, as council has identified, is a lot of opportunity to explore new ideas, new solutions, talk to individuals that really have a lot of the same problems that we have here. Just introduced to a number of programs and grants that hopefully that we're able to take advantage of as we move forward.
Thank you. For mine, I'll just touch on two. The councillors have touched on a lot that we attended. One was the Indigenous relations. I wanted to say that Thompson is on the map in regards to our Indigenous Aboriginal Accord. The City of Winnipeg, in their year of reconciliation, have used our model and the City of Edmonton's model as their model and adopted a new Indigenous Accord for the City of Winnipeg. And so we were recognized for our foresight in moving that project forward. Secondly, and also the northern discussion that Councillor Byer talked about, we talked specifically about rail and the Churchill situation, the lack of housing, and the lack of interconnectivity in the north. And again, to Councillor Byer's statement, we are south to everyone that we were in the room with. They were coming south to see us. We're talking Nunavut, Yellowknife, Iqaluit, Rankin Inlet, and other communities. So as bad as we may feel as isolated, it is way worse farther north. And the issues that we have in regards to road connections and internet connections and things like that seemed minor compared to what they're faced on a daily basis. So it was quite interesting to get another perspective from that. And at the other extreme, as Councillor Matichuk talked about, the City of Toronto and City of Ottawa transit system, 900 buses, they can control a stoplight from a control room way over our head from our perspective, but it gives you a perspective of the range of what people are seeing coast to coast to coast in municipalities. So as much as we tend to look at ourselves and navel gaze and the issues that we have, there is always a community doing better, and there's always a community doing worse. So it's a learning experience, and I think it was a valued experience to be part of FCM and look forward to next year's conference as well. Any other questions or comments on that from council? Seeing none, we'll move into correspondence. We have a letter from Emily Pruder in regards to the remarks made by Councillor Wong at previous council meeting. We have the letter in our packages. Dear Mayor Fensky and members of City Council, recently become aware that during the regular meeting council of May 8th, 2017, Councillor Wong made sexist remarks about female employees working in the City of Thompson in the Public Works Department. Councillor Wong's comments are quoted below from the May 11th edition of the Thompson Citizen. In Thompson, we have a lot of snow usually, and to buy a two-wheel drive especially, I'm going to do a comparison about the weight, said Wong. The half-ton truck we're talking about is about 5,000 plus pounds. The three-quarter-ton truck we're talking about is 6,000 plus pounds. 1,000 pounds more for people to get unstuck is pretty hard, especially we do have a female employee working for the Public Works so that they do drive the half-ton and the three-quarter-ton. Imagine if they got stuck, it would cost so much more time and effort to get it out. I'm just saying a male would have a hard time to push out a 5,000-pound truck. He said, imagine the female, she would have a harder time to push it out, that's all. Councillor Wong's comment implied that the female employee of the Public Works Department is less physically capable than a male, solely based on the fact that she's a female. This is irrelevant to whether or not an employee is capable. These comments are as well singled out the lone female employee working for the Public Works Department, which I don't believe leads to a positive, healthy, or comfortable workplace environment. When women are doubted or of being capable of work just because it's physically demanding, they don't feel safe to ask for help when it is actually needed and run the risk of injuring themselves on the job. I also don't believe that the taxpayers of Thompson would agree that the City of Thompson should allocate extra funds to purchase four-wheel drive vehicles for the sake of a female employee getting stuck in the snow. As an elected official, it is important to think about the impact of one's words we have. It's already difficult for women to enter traditionally male-dominated fields due to prevalent sexist attitudes. Councillor Wong's comments reinforce that. I've recently been accepted to a college program to study a skilled trade and have already had men voice their concern to me over if I would be capable because it's physically demanding work. These kinds of comments are phrased as concern, but they undermine my confidence in my abilities. I'm not alone in this. My younger sister wanted to be a welder, and when she sought out an apprenticeship, she was told she would need to cut off her pretty long hair if she wanted to pursue this career. I'm certain that if Councillor Wong took the time to speak to women on these types of careers, he would understand the covert sexism these women have to deal with on a day in, day out. I would like to request a public apology at the next public regular meeting of council from Councillor Wong for his comments. I would also like to request Councillor Wong undertake sensitivity training specifically focused on sexism in the workplace. His comments were not merely a poor choice of words, they were reflective of his beliefs about the capabilities of women employed by the Public Works Department and working women in Thompson. Thank you for consideration in this important matter. Signed, Emily Pruder. I will go to council for comments. I will go to Councillor Wong for comments.
First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for the taxpayer to show up tonight, take the effort, and whether you are here to support me or you're here to against me. Mr. Mayor, it is with great displeasure that I wish to invoke my constitutional right for the opportunity to address the statement made regarding myself. If such criticism are to be made bare in front of everybody here to this council, then it's the only reasonable that I be allowed to defend the defamation of my characters. Agree? I want to make this very clear at this point. I acknowledge that my off-the-cuff remarks have brought forward some very understandable concern. I also have learned from the impact that this word have had on others, and will do my best in conducting myself appropriately moving forward. But at no point do I intend on apologizing for my position regarding the truck purchase decision, nor will I attend sensitivity training in the future without further consultation. Those select few who choose to utilize the open forum we have established as a bully pulpit, rather than to contact me directly, suggest not a desire for peaceful resolution, but on agenda independent of such a conclusion. I will not entertain those who do not bother to respect due process. For the record, Councillor Carter and I firmly believe in the capability of women in Thompson's workplace, and our history has shown nothing to contrary. I advocate greatly for the Walk a Mile in Her Shoe event, and matter of fact, I was the second largest fundraise participant to donate to that program. And the Women of Distinction event, which is the president and the board of the YWCA, wish to exclude Councillor Claudia from. The councillor herself established the event. The motive behind this event is above protecting and fighting for women's rights. How they have treated Councillor Claudia is disgusting and worse, hypocritical. She deserves an apology from this whole affair more than anyone. I sympathize with everyone who has voiced their concern, but statements may have bluntly refused to acknowledge and of the context behind the council's discussions, instead solely focusing on making personal demand based off selective statements. To be frank, I am disappointed the leadership choose to entertain those demands in the public meeting. What is the motive behind the leadership? Is such a witch hunt be allowed to occur with little to no hesitation on the leadership's part? If the event is to be believed, it is difficult to not consider such advocacy of this letter some form of collusion. Regardless, such unprofessional and impulsive behavior from the leadership only create a toxic and combative environment within the council and completely contradict our purpose in moving the community forward. In the future, I would encourage that if any concern are brought forward, they to be addressed directly to those involved to start a productive and peaceful dialogue. Thank you.
Any other comments? Order, please. Order, please. Councilors, any other questions or comments? Councillor Collada.
Yes, I want to point out that the YWCA is an extremely valuable asset in our community. and they currently have a phenomenal staff. So, you know, the letter that came out, I didn't ask that it be put on the agenda. It went to the mayor asking that I be removed. That's entirely on the board. I think we have important issues to deal with, and I hate seeing this type of letter on our agenda. It was on sign from a former resident of Thompson, and I don't think that it's something that needs to be on our agenda. Otherwise, I would have asked that the letter from the Y be also put on the agenda. But I don't want the actions of a few people to reflect on such a valuable organization as the YWCA. But thank you, Councillor Wong.
Thank you. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Yeah, at the meeting, Councillor Wong, when the comments were made, I spoke at the council meeting, said that I didn't appreciate the comments about the female employees. I guess I struggle to understand why we're talking about the YWCA Women of Distinction Award when this letter has nothing to do with that. So I would just like to say that sometimes it's okay to take the high road and just say you're sorry for things that are said. I think that we all deserve a little bit of respect, and this definitely needs to be a place where the grandstanding stops, because it's not about a place to grandstand. If you do something wrong, I was always taught to believe it's okay to admit to it, and the simple words "I'm sorry" go a long way these days in our world. Nor does this have anything to do with the truck purchase vote. This council has a councillor code of conduct. We reviewed it 2 weeks after our election, which was going to be 3 years ago. We also had a whole Saturday of training. We also meet in camera every 2 weeks before these regular meetings, and more often than not is there an issue about councillor code of conduct on the in camera. So I think that it's time that I say that the grandstanding stops, and a third of our female or employees within the city of Thompson are all females. So I stand up for every one of them, and I speak to support them tonight.
Thank you. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Last warning. I'll ask you to be removed. I believe you've left already once. Thank you. Next time it'll be on our record. Thank you. Councillor Foley.
So to add some clarification, this letter was drafted May 30th. Not too long afterwards, it was forwarded to all of council. So to Duncan Wong's point, the concerns were brought directly to you, and you had every opportunity to contact the author of the letter to address those concerns. So that was granted.
Councillors, anything else? Moving forward, Councillor Wong.
Thank you. Just want to clarify this. You guys are the one who provide the stage for me to grandstanding. I did not want to do this. I caution you guys. I said, do not bring this to the state table, because this is nothing to do with the taxpayer. This is a personal issue. We can deal with privately, but you guys choose to provide the stage for me to grandstanding. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, move on. Next is a letter from Emily Pruder in regards to a ramp, accessible stage ramp. Dear Mayor Fenske and members of the City Council, my name is Emily Pruder, and I'm interested in making our community more accessible for people living with disabilities. A significant number of people in our city require various forms of accommodation to make sure that they are able to attend and enjoy the events and activities available throughout the City of Thompson. According to the 2011 Canadian Survey on Disability conducted by the Statistics Canada, approximately 13.7% of adult Canadians live with various disabilities, with pain, mobility, and flexibility limitations being most common. It has come to my attention that the portable temporary stage that the city owns and maintains for event purposes does not have a sloped ramp. This means that the stage is not accessible for those that require a mobility aid, such as a wheelchair. I would like to request that the City of Thompson seek to build or purchase a ramp for the portable stage so that more of our citizens can utilize the stage at various city events. This would be in accordance with the recently approved City of Thompson Accessibility Plan Policy 2016 to 2018. I consider this to be a high priority, so I will ask that this be put forward to the next regular meeting of Council. Thank you for your consideration in this important matter. Sincerely, Emily Pruder. Council, any questions or comments? Councillor Smook.
Yes, after we received this letter, there was some conversations about the UCN had accessibility ramp to the same stage for their ceremonies. So we are in the process of checking into whether it was their ramp, our ramp, whose it was, and we hope to have this corrected in the near future.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Ellis.
The letter, I think this matter needs to be taken to the Recreation and Community Services Committee to look into it further. We need to make sure that there is accessibility to all our facilities, given our accessibility plan, and then we move forward. And in terms of we want to retain retirees to this community. This is one effort, one small effort that we can make them welcome.
Seeing none, I will refer it to the Recreation Protective Services Committee for further action. And next we have a letter from Shelley Matkowski, Department Manager, Environmental Licensing and Protection of Manitoba Hydro, and Tracy Braun, Director, Environmental Approvals Branch of Manitoba Sustainable Development, in regards to the Regional Cumulative Effects Assessment of Hydroelectric Developments on the Churchill, Burntwood, and Nelson River Systems Integrated Summary Report. We have a Manitoba Sustainable Development letter attached, which I'll read. Dear Mayor Fensky, further to the past correspondence regarding the Manitoba Hydro Manitoba Regional Cumulative Effects Assessment, RCEA, please find enclosed copies of the Regional Cumulative Effects Assessment for Hydroelectric Developments on the Churchill, Burntwood, and Nelson River Systems Integrated Summary Report. This document summarizes key effects in the RCEA region of interest from the development and operation of Manitoba Hydro's hydroelectric system. The effects are covered in detail in the RCEA Phase 1, Phase 2 reports, which have been provided to you previously. The Phase 1 RCEA report was completed and made public in May of 2014 and can be found at the following location online, and there's an address there. The Phase 2 report was filed in December of 2015 and can be found at the following location as well. The summary report is available in electronic form, and the address has been supplied. The CEC has been asked by the Minister of Sustainable Development to undertake a public outreach program with communities in the region of interest following the filing of the Phase 2 RCEA report. Information on the CEC public outreach program can be found at the following location online, and the information is provided. Please let us know if there's any questions or concerns. Warm regards, Shelley Matkowski, Department Manager, Environmental Licensing and Protection, Manitoba Hydro, and Tracy Braun, Director, Environmental Approvals Branch, MB Sustainable Development. I'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll receive for information. Thank you. We're now moving on to resolutions. And the first resolution that we have is a resolution to adopt Thompson 2020 Master Project Charter. We have the Master Charter attached. This is Resolution 2017150, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Byer. Whereas the City of Thompson, along with Valley Canada, Manitoba Community Futures North to Central Development, NCD, and Communities Economic Development Fund, CEDF, have established an initiative entitled Thompson 2020 to deal with Valley's 2018 closure of the smelter and refinery in order to mitigate the economic impacts on the community. And whereas the recent announcement from Valley on placing Birch Tree Mine in care and maintenance on October 2017 further exacerbates the need to mitigate the economic impacts on the community, and whereas the Thompson 2020 Project Steering Committee has hired 2 project managers to shepherd the community over the next 24 months and develop economic development strategies to mitigate the impact on the community in 4 specific areas: workforce utilization, retain and attract residents, should be retirees, business redevelopment, infrastructure. And whereas the Thompson 2020 project managers have developed a master project charter that will direct this initiative over the next 24 months, now therefore be it resolved that City of Thompson Council approve the Thompson 2020 master project charter. We'll go to administration for support.
Then the 2 project managers had presented council with the overview of the 2020 process. So that process is well initiated, and they're looking to gain insight into the 4 areas or legs of the stool, as they termed, to develop those plans to mitigate the impact on our community in the coming future.
Thank you. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Ellis.
in terms of our future as a city and moving forward the next 2 years in mitigating the impacts from the employees that are impacted by the changes being made at Valet, and also in terms of building on for many years Thompson's been diversifying its economy, and so in terms of building on those building blocks and moving forward in the city, so make sure that we're sustainable.
Thank you. Council, any other questions or comments? Councillor Byer.
Just a comment, I was excited to hear that we have a number of initiatives or suggestions brought forward to them, and that some of them look viable, so that's exceptionally good news for expanding the economic base of the city.
Collada?
Thank you, Your Worship. I find it strange that there's no elected people on the involved with 2020, and I think that it would have been a good choice to at least have the chair of the Economic Development Committee on 2020, but there are no elected people on 2020.
Just for clarification, the mayor is part of 2020. Councillor Matichuk.
Judy stated most of what I was going to say. The concept I like. What I don't like is, well, first of all, another part that I like is there is a mechanism to remove anybody that is in a conflict of interest. But saying that, there will be situations where our mayor, who is the only member on this committee, will be in a conflict of interest. I think we should have an alternate member of council on there to step in such instances.
Thank you. Good suggestion. We can look at that. Did I see hand? Oh, Councillor Wong.
I would like to see there's more stakeholder involved this. I'd like to see more stakeholder to involve this process.
Deputy Mayor Valentino.
I like the approach. I'll be going to support this. I like the approach where they put no idea is outright rejected, rather it's prioritized beyond 2020. That's a mandate, because as we have challenges right now, we need to remember we're still going to be here as a city past 2020. So I appreciate their approach in looking at this, so I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve the attendance at the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce Look North MBiz Breakfast and Ministers meetings and a memo from the Executive Assistant. This is Resolution 2017151, moved by Councillor Smook, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be it resolved, the Council approve the attendance of Mayor Fensky and Gary Sepatelli, City Manager, at the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce Look North MBiz Breakfast and Ministers meeting in Winnipeg, Manitoba on June 22nd and 23rd, 2017, and be it further resolved that attendance at this event be borne under the terms and conditions of bylaw 1897-2013. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
Discuss the Look North project that the province is currently in, that the city has been involved in, and as well as to meet with a number of ministers to deal with the issues that the city of Thompson is currently facing, and the cost for the attendance of the mayor and myself at these meetings is just under $2,300.
Thank you. Go to the mover, Councillor Smook.
Nothing further to add. It's a good chance for you gentlemen to meet with some of the ministers that we're dealing with.
Council, any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Support this, and I think that I know there are other stakeholders within the city that are going to be attending, and whatever chance we can get now for the province for meetings, we need it here in the north. We have some real tough times right now, so I certainly appreciate, and I'll be voting for you guys to go and to meet with these ministers as we need as much support from the province more than ever.
Thank you. Councillor Wong.
Two questions. One is from the airfare. Why is it so expensive? Can I get some detail on it? Second is the budget for Gary for traveling. What is the balance left from this department budget, and what was the budget set aside for this kind of event? I'd like to. Thank you.
The cost of the airfare is the date that you arrange the airfare. Obviously, the airfare, depending on when you are booking your airfare, if you're booking it a number of days in advance, there's a certain price. If you're booking it closer to the date you're flying, it's a different price. So it's the date of the airfare of the time that it was booked. The individual amounts that are in the account for travel for myself, I mean, I would have to get that information and give it on to council, but it's within budget.
And just to further clarify, in regards to the meetings, we did not receive confirmation with meetings with Minister Cullen until late last week. And in that meeting, President Ellsworth from 6166 will also be in attendance. We also just received confirmation with our meeting with the Minister of Justice, Minister Steffensen, and in that meeting, Chief Marcel Moody will also be attending those meetings to discuss the restorative justice facilities. And from the city's perspective, we will be discussing the CSO funding program. Councillor Wong.
Well, I fly enough with Comair, so the price is kind of, to me, is awkward because even though emergency, like 2 days prior to the fly or whatever, will not go up to $900 some per. This is $1,800. Is it return or is it two separate air ticket?
If I could clarify, it's the flight that's booked for Mr. Sabatelli and myself. Return. Those are the price. Yes.
What about the cost for traveling costs?
Yes, I thought you had a separate.
The resolution speaks to the travel of Mr. Sabatelli and myself. The costs of travel are covered under separate budgets. That's why they're delineated, and that's why the memo explains that. But this is for 2 flights, return, Winnipeg or Thompson, Winnipeg, to attend the Chamber of Commerce meeting on Thursday morning, and the meeting with Minister Cullen, and the meeting with Minister Steffensen. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. A resolution to approve entering into a contract with AllNet for the web design and maintenance services. This is Resolution 2017-152, moved by Councillor Beyer, second by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved that Council authorize administration to enter into a 4-year contract with AllNet for the website design and maintenance services. Contract will expire on August 21st, 2020. I'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
Just in regards to sort of the history in regards to our internet, our web design, we currently were previously with Visions Internet, of which the contract, or they notified us that they would not be renewing the contract for the City of Thompson. Subsequently, we sent out a request for proposals in March of this year. And received a number of proposals, of which Council has, through resolution, approved retaining AllNet Municipal Solutions for the website redesign at their tendered price of $25,000. So this really is a housekeeping resolution, just entering into or authorizing administration to enter into the 4-year contract for AllNet for the web design and maintenance services. The contract will expire August 21st of 2020.
Thank you. Councillor Beyer is the mover.
We've had a number of suggestions for how we can improve our website in the past few years, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to see if we can implement some of those improvements. And also because it's AllNet, we are familiar with AllNet through our own internal communications, and I think we have found that it's a very reliable company and a very reliable service, so I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve entering into an agreement with NextGen Canada for a merchant account, and we have a memo from project specialist in finance. Resolution 2017-153, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Beyer. Whereas the City of Thompson is currently in the process of updating the recreation software to Max Galaxy for the Maximum Solutions, from Maximum Solutions, and whereas part of the update will include the ability to purchase registration, memberships, facility rentals online and in person for recreation only. And whereas in order for citizens to make payments online, the City of Thompson will need to accept credit cards. And whereas it is the recommendation of Finance and Administration Committee to accept both credit and debit online and in person for recreation only. And whereas the service would be more cost effective with one supplier for both credit and debit cards online and in person for recreation only. Therefore, be resolved, the Council authorized the Chief Financial Officer to enter into an agreement with NextGen Canada for a merchant account that integrates into the Max Galaxy software, which will be used for recreational bookings only. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. Mover, Councillor Ellis.
Moves us towards being able to accept payment online. So it's a good move forward, and we're entering the 21st century.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Yeah, I'm definitely supporting this. I'm not only excited about the recreation software that we can book online, now we can pay online. I love the wording, old recreation software, not just replacing the recreation software, but the old one. I think it's great. I think it's good, and it's really moving us forward, and I'm sure all of our people and citizens will enjoy using this. And like Councillor Ellis says, we're back into the 21st century with booking stuff and paying for it.
Councillor Bayer.
I just want to add that it's nice to see that we're adding credit card payment to this. In almost every place else you go in the city, you can have a choice of credit or debit. And so I'm glad to see that we're going to also be offering the same level of service as other businesses and services in town.
Thank you. Council, any other questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Let's see that again. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve taxes added. We have an attachment AR1-17 and a memo from Chief Financial Officer. Resolution 2017-154, moved by Councillor Smook, seconded by Councillor Bayer. Whereas Section 326, Bracket 1 of the Municipal Act provides authority for the municipality to correct its tax roll in respect of property and impose supplementary taxes if, after the tax roll has been completed, the assessor reports to the municipality that A, the property is liable to taxation but was not assessed. The property is liable to taxation due to a change in ownership or use. The assessment of the improvement on the property requires an increase due to a change in physical condition of the improvement. A change has been made in the classification of the property under the Municipal Act, Assessment Act, or a regulation under that act, or the land has been improved or subdivided. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council authorizes the Chief Financial Officer to make additions to the 2017 real property tax roll as certified by the assessor on the additions to the tax roll attached hereto as Appendix AR1-17. Go to administration for support. Jen?
The assessment are received from the assessment branch. Once approved by council, a tax bill is generated and sent to the taxpayer with 90 days to pay. The total taxes included in this agenda is $93,785. The total taxes added to date for 2017 is $99,504, compared to an annual budget of $200,000.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Smook.
$100,000 in our coffers, a very good news.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve taxes cancelled. We have the Appendix 2-17 attached as well. This is Resolution 2017-155, moved by Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved that pursuant to the authority provided in Section 300, Bracket 6.1 of the Municipal Act, Council hereby authorizes the cancellation of taxes hereto as Appendix 2-17. We'll go to administration for support. Jen?
Yes, the process is the same for the assessment. We received it from the assessment branch and any changes are updated. The total taxes cancelled in this package is $9,805, and for the year to date is $48,586.
We'll go to the mover, Councillor Foley. Anything to add? Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve the tax sale date and a memo from the Chief Financial Officer. Resolution 2017-156, moved by Councillor Ellis, second by Councillor Foley. Whereas on January 16, 2017, Council passed Resolution 2017-014, approving 2015 as the tax sale year. Now therefore be resolved that the tax sale date be set for December 6th at 9 a.m. in the City Hall Council chambers. Go to administration for support. Jen?
Yes, the 2015 tax sale was set through resolution in January. The next step of the process is to set the tax sale date. So any property with taxes owing prior to 2015 will be included in the tax sale.
We'll go to Councillor Ellis as the mover. Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve the tabulation of prices for the purchase of mixed topsoil, and we have the tabulation of prices attachment. Resolution 2017-157, moved by Councillor Wong, second by Councillor Byer. Be resolved, the council approve the recommendation of purchasing agent and award the purchase of mixed topsoil to Ace Patch Trucking Limited for their tendered price of $44,815.80, all taxes included, as per tender file number 13217. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add, Jen?
Just at the tender, there was only one response to the tender, so it must come to council for approval as per our purchasing policy.
Wong, anything to add?
Last year, I don't think we purchased 1,200 cubic yard. So what's the reason we buy more this year? Second, is anybody monitor when they delivery to check the ticket and then sign off the ticket when they dump the topsoil to the public yard there?
Administration for support. Anything to add on these comments?
I mean, obviously in 2016, we did purchase 1,200 cubic yards. And as part of the process is that with any trunking company, I mean, as you deliver product, I mean, there's a ticket that is given to the receiver. So that is part of that process. Yeah.
The case, because we went to the public work and asked for the question. They say, well, basically at the end of the day, they just give us a whole bunch of us ticket and then drop it off the front desk. So nobody is looking at it individually, because I do purchase a sand from Smook. Every time they dump the sand, I have to be there to sign off. So each load, not like end of the day. So who monitor that? That's my question.
Is your discussion with the agent that we have in charge of purchasing? Discussion in process with our purchasing agent? Works. You said you spoke to somebody at
Just
public.
in general question.
No,
I didn't specific talk to the purchase agent.
Okay, so I just want to clarify for the general public is that we have a purchasing agent. We have a process to deal with the delivery of goods and services that is in place, and that process is followed. Jen, do you have anything to add? Thank you. Any other questions of council? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. A resolution to approve entering into the Green Municipal Fund combined grant and loan agreement for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades and associated works. And we have a memo from the city manager. Resolution 2017-158, moved by Councillor Byer, second by Councillor Ellis. Whereas the city of Thompson is in the process of building a new wastewater treatment plant, WWTP, with the Government of Canada and the Province of Manitoba and the city of Thompson contributing funds of a 1/3 each toward the total project cost. And whereas the project has been approved for funding under the New Build Canada Fund for the total project cost of $36.5 million. And whereas on April 14, 2016, Council passed Resolution number 2016-086 approving the City of Thompson commitment to providing financial support for the wastewater treatment plant project and the submission of the GMF funding application. Now therefore be resolved, the Council authorized administration to enter into the combined grant and loan agreement under the Green Municipal Fund, GMF, between the City of Thompson and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities in order to access the funding for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades and associated works. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
In regards to, I mean, obviously, as our consultants, Stantec and Water Services Board, had indicated that the project was secured through the Build Canada Fund under the NBCF Provincial Territorial Infrastructure component, of where 2/3 of the $36.5 million project has been secured. The city, in addition to that, applied to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, who is the trustee for the Green Municipal Fund, for both a grant and a loan, as per a resolution 2016-086. We have been successful in obtaining a grant for $750,000 and a loan for $5 million from FCM. So in order to get the funding, the receipt of this funding and loan, there's a loan agreement, a combined loan and grant agreement that is required to be entered into with FCM, and that's the intent of the resolution tonight.
Thank you. Go to the mover, Councillor Byer.
I will be supporting this, and $750,000 in grant is $750,000 that we don't have to raise through levies and other methods from our residents.
Thank you. Council, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to waive Centennial Park fees for the $1 Million Hole-in-One fundraiser event. We have a memo from the Director of Recreation, Parks and Culture and a letter from the Rotary Club as support. The resolution reads 2017159, moved by Councillor Smook, second by Councillor Byer. Whereas the Rotary Club was requested that City of Thompson waive the fees for the use of Centennial Park for the annual $1 Million Hole-in-One fundraiser event held on July 4th to the 8th, 2017. And whereas the Recreation and Community Services Committee reviewed the request and deems it to be the best interest of the community and therefore are in agreement that the fees be waived. Now therefore be it resolved that Council waive the Centennial Park fees for the annual $1 Million Hole-in-One fundraiser event at a cost not to exceed $655.10. Go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Smook. Oh, sorry, Mr. Septelli.
Council's information to date in 2017, what has been waived so far is about $25,476.30. With this amount, it'll be just over $26,000, $131.
To the mover, Councillor Smook.
Has always brought dollars to the parties that take it, and part of the donations will be going to the Winter Games 2018, so I'm sure the Rotarians would appreciate anybody that could go out and give them a hand during this week.
Council, any questions or comments? Councillor Foley.
Just that for timing purposes, this was emailed, circulated to the Recreation Committee, and the general consensus was, due to the fact that the funds being raised are going towards the Manitoba Winter Games, that it would be in the city's best interest to waive the fees.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to declare Canada Day a special event in the City of Thompson. We have a memo from the License Inspector. Resolution 2017-160, moved by Councillor Ellis, second by Councillor Byer. Be it resolved, the Council declare Canada Day 2017 a special event in the City of Thompson. We'll go to administration. Anything to add?
Just that plans are going along very well. All the advertising has gone out, and there's actually been a few additions just in the last week or two.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Septelli.
That this is an annual housekeeping resolution.
And
Council, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Oh, I can't see your hand. Do it again. Thank you. Resolution. The next one is a resolution to redirect funds for the McLean Park Canopy project. There's a memo from the Manager of Asset Infrastructure and 3 drawings attached as well. The resolution is 2017-161, moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Smook. Whereas the City of Thompson has approved the redevelopment plan for McLean Park, and whereas the revitalization has continued over a number of years, and whereas the final component of the redevelopment of McLean Park is the construction and installation of the stage canopy with a capital budget of $50,400, which includes $6,400 from the Manitoba Community Places program. And whereas the city has solicited A&B builders to design a structure for the stage canopy after an unsuccessful tendering attempts, and whereas this cost of the construct and install the stage canopy is quoted at $83,000, the city needs to redirect $32,600 from the air conditioning capital project, which has available funds to accommodate this. And whereas this is discussed at the June 15, 2017 Public Works and Infrastructure Committee meeting, and administration recommends that the council approve the redirection of funds to complete the McLean Park Canopy project. Now therefore be resolved, the city approve the redirection of $32,600 from the air conditioning capital project to the McLean Park Canopy capital project in order to complete the McLean Park stage canopy. And be it further resolved, the council sole source construction and installation of the stage canopy to A&B builders for their quoted price of $83,000 plus an applicable taxes. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
Just to indicate, I mean, obviously the McLean Park redevelopment has taken place over a number of years, and we've experienced trouble trying to get a contractor to complete the project for us over the last couple of years, where we've tendered it and have been unsuccessful. As such, we've approached a local builder to undertake it, and as part of that, the agreement and the design or finalizing of the design for the construction of that, and really sort of the intent for council to redirect those funds which are available from a surplus funds that from an initial or earlier capital project that we undertook this year for the air conditioning component of both City Hall and the library. So there are available funds that can be redirected for the completion of the McLean Park. But as well, I mean, obviously, as the resolution talks to sole sourcing to A&B Builders for this component due to the earlier difficulties we had with receiving nothing in the tenders that we had sent out.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Foley. Anything to add?
Just I'll be supporting this. This has been a long time coming, and very pleased that we finally have found a contractor that's willing to complete the work and get this over with.
Council questions? Councillor Matichak.
I will not be supporting this. Quite simply, I think that all of the money for this canopy could be better spent on the streets in Thompson.
First of all, I'd like to thank you to Manager of Infrastructure, Gil, put the effort to put the package together and find the money and try to make this project work. I said it before, I said it again. I think this is a white elephant project, and also it's a money pit. We already spent over $700,000 on this particular space, and we want to spend another $80-some thousand. I don't think so, especially we have all this challenge ahead us. If we do have the $80,000, I'd rather put it aside to reduce tax or put into the infrastructure, repair the pothole, and due to that reason, I will not support, and I'd like to ask for a recorded vote, please.
Thank you. Mr. Septelli.
Just for a couple clarifications, what's been spent to date on the McLean Park is about $450,000. I'm not sure where Councillor Wong is getting the $700,000 figure. The other one in regards to put it into taxes, these are capital dollars that have to be put back into a reserve and not used for operating.
Deputy Mayor Valentino.
I want to say that I'll definitely be supporting this proposal. It's important to note, as City Manager Sepatelli said, that this is capital dollars, and we as a council have budgeted for the $50,000 already in our budget to go towards this project, and there's also grant money from the Manitoba Community Places Program grant money also. And because we're using excess funds from another project that we had put in our budget, I look forward to A&B Builders getting this done, as it's been 3 years in the works.
Councillor Byer.
I was really skeptical of this whole project at the beginning. I reluctantly supported development of McLean Park because I couldn't see the value in it, quite frankly. But when I see the amount that it's used now, not just for scheduled events or special events, but just kids in there, the Pokemon hunting, the wedding photographs, and all the other things that go on in there, it's a source of pride to a lot of people, and they make use of it. And this canopy has been a thorn on our side for so long. We need the canopy. You don't see outdoor stages in any other municipality that doesn't have some kind of a canopy to protect the entertainers and the equipment below it. So I'm glad to see that this is finally coming to a resolution and that we're getting the canopy. I'm also very pleased that it's going to local builders. We're supporting local businesses, and I'm really glad to see that. I understand and I appreciate Councillor Wong's suggestions of the money, but it is a separate pot of money. That capital didn't come from us raising taxes. That came from other reserves. And I'm just glad to see that this is finished, and I'm glad to see that there was extra money left over from another project, so we didn't have to go looking for it and, causing another project perhaps to suffer. So I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Claudia.
Thank you. We've been sinking money into McLean Park for over 20 years, and we've had a lot of failed attempts, but I'm going to support this resolution because I have every confidence in A&B Builders, and we do need a canopy, so I think that they're the people who will do the job, so I will support it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Smook.
I just feel that McLean Park is well utilized, as Councillor Byer said, and worthwhile to the community, and it'll be one more draw to get people to it, and I will also be supporting it.
Mr. Wong.
I just want to respond to Councillor Byer comment. It doesn't matter the money come from the capital or what, it still come from the taxpayer. It's the same source.
And reminder for the general public's information, for the last 5 years, there have been no property taxes used for capital projects. They have been funded 100% by either grants from the gas tax at the federal government level, and I see Councillor Wong rolling his eyes. I would ask for respect in response to the question, the issue that he raised. So the issue and the statement that he made is absolutely false. Capital dollars are raised and expended through reserves, through grants from the provincial government, from the federal government, and other granting sources. This council and the previous council has been very adamant about not going to the property taxpayer for capital projects, and we've been able to do that for the last 5 years. So this expenditure of funds is from capital reserves or projects that have been underspent, not the property tax bill that you received in September. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor and a recorded vote. Opposed? Voting in favor, Councillor Foley, Councillor Schmuck, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councillor Collada, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Mayor Fensky. Voting opposed, Councillor Wong, Councillor Matichuk. It carries. Next, we have a resolution to approve the updates to Shaw Cable System Fiber Optics. Resolution 2017-162, moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Byer. Whereas the Shaw Cable Systems has submitted an application for excavation permits required to update and install fiber optics as per project Shaw Cable Systems Thompson RPN 729232, and whereas the Development Review Committee reviewed and recommends that this request is approved, now therefore be it resolved, the Council approve the Shaw Cable Systems excavation permits for the following areas as per project Shaw Cable Systems, excuse me, Thompson RPN 729232, and subject to the following conditions. Any damage caused by the work will be corrected and the area brought back to its original state in a timely manner at the cost of Shaw Cable Systems. The work will be kept at a minimum 3 meters from the City of Thompson's underground infrastructure. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor. Oh, sorry, Mr. Sepetali.
And obviously is that this was discussed at both Public Works and internally had taken our due diligence from our infrastructure component and our Public Works component to ensure that developments from utilities companies in general are far enough away from utility lines that don't cause us problems when we do experience a water break at some point in the future.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Foley.
Be supporting this, and it's good to see the company upgrading their system.
Question, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have the Mayor's report, and this is for activities May 24th to June 19th, along with the Heart and Stroke Foundation met with businesses for an open discussion on sugary drink reduction on May 24th. Met with Minister Cullen and attended the Provincial Municipal Justice Advisory Committee meetings in Winnipeg on May 26th. Councillor Byer and Les Ellsworth and Gord Medwood from Local 6166 also attended the meeting with Minister Cullen. Along with City Manager Gary Septelli, we met with President Les Ellsworth and Gord Medwood of the USW's Local 6166 on June the 6th as a follow-up to the original Ministers meeting. Along with City Manager Gary Septelli, a conference call was held with Canadian Beverage Association on June 7th in result of the open discussion on sugary drink reduction in our community. Mayor and council, as well as the city manager and Gary Sepatelli, attended the AMM Northern June District meeting in Lynn Lake on June the 8th. I want to congratulate Penny Byer being the elected district rep on the east side, and I want to thank Councillor Duncan Wong for the last 2 years of being our rep on the east side as the AMM rep. Along with city manager Gary Sepatelli, we met with Chief Marcel Moody of NCN on June 9th and 13th in discussions in regards to the memorandum of understanding for the urban reserve and to facilitate the meeting in Winnipeg with Minister Stephenson. Attended and brought greetings at the 3rd annual Leslie W. Turner Memorial Traditional Powwow on June the 10th. Attended the city school liaison meeting with the school district, which was held on June 12th. Attended the UCN convocation ceremony on June 13th and presented outgoing President Conrad Jonason with a retirement gift on behalf of the City of Thompson. Along with City Manager Gary Sepatelli, we presented the 2017 financial plan and at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon meeting on June 14th. Had an interview with the Globe and Mail Calgary office in regards to generational trends on income from 2008 to present. And also council had a meeting with the assessment branch in regards to the 2018 reassessment impact held on June the 15th. Along with council members and city manager Gary Sepatelli, who attended the grand opening of the Hope North Recovery Center for Youth on June 16th. The weekly Thompson 2020 conference calls continue. The monthly water treatment plant meetings continue. Various committee meetings were held: Development Review, Finance and Administration, Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs, and Public Works and Infrastructure. There are no proclamations at this time. I will go to council for any updates with other events that they attended on behalf of the city. Deputy Mayor Valentino.
We hosted the grade 4 Miss Lowen and Miss Wright's class here at City Hall. We gave them a tour. There was about 16 of them, and we had them here in council chambers. Anja English helped me, and we did like a mock council meeting, and we had some votes about fidget spinners, if they should be allowed in classrooms or not. And then we took them downstairs where they ended up their afternoon with the fire department with their tour down there. So that was a really great afternoon that I was able to be a part of.
I think I saw a hand over here. Councillor Byer.
That I attended the annual general meeting of the Community Futures North Central Development. They've had an extremely good year for helping support business starts in our region, and they're also sitting in a very sound financial situation. So the City of Thompson is a member of that.
Thank you. I think, did I see Councillor Smook? Councillor Smook?
Did anything the last 2 weeks, so pardon me, but I just want to remind everybody, this is our last meeting until July 17th. So the summer camps, we've had some great news on them. Everybody's hired. Please sign up your kids for summer camps, grandkids, whatever. Nickel Days is this coming weekend. The King Minor Contest, come out and support it. Canada Day, everybody come see it. Indigenous Day is June 21st, and there is extra set of fireworks at Indigenous Day, so everybody come on out and support us.
Mr. Foley.
Just a reminder that tomorrow at noon at the VRCC, we'll be having our recreation committee meeting, and we may be breaking for the summer after that. Also, with local off-road group partnering with the City of Thompson, is having a open house at 7 o'clock in the multipurpose room at the VRCC to discuss off-road usage within the city and the potential forming of a motocross club at the off-road park south of town, so we can hopefully generate enough interest to give people an avenue now that there is a location provided for off-road vehicles.
Any other reports? And just to pick up on Councillor Smook's comments, we are going into the summer schedule for council meetings. The next one, as she stated, is July 17th, and the meeting scheduled in August is August 14th. We will, of course, call any special meeting that's required if it's an emergency or deemed the circumstances, but normally we go to once a month in July and August. So again, those dates are July 17th and August 14th. With that, I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Foley, Councillor Smook, all in favor? Carried. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.